It's a particularly interesting moment in Romania as we face decisions about our leadership and about the democratic process that will shape our future, and what we, the electorate, can do to ensure that it is equitable and honest, a word I have heard several times today. Romania is on the threshold of change, and the lineup of this TED edition reflects many fresh visions, many new ways of thinking and leading. Looking and listening to you today, it seems to me that today has been about leadership. I have always liked the idea that there are some things in life that cannot be purchased, that must be learned or earned or invented. As preparation for tonight and to reflect on the subject, I looked up the notion of leadership. Leadership, said someone, is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Perhaps we should look at the past and the present and how our history and our heroes have shaped our heritage and the outcomes. Men and women of vision in every field, from aviation to physics, from medicine to the arts. Just think about our writers and poets, our great musical leaders, our great inventors, our great thinkers, our great painters and sculptors, many of whom have been referred to tonight. We were justly celebrated for our leadership in all domains. As well, Romania has always had a generous spirit and has always been a country with a strong civil conscience. Dar azi, România are o problemă de imagine. It is not just the legacy of the grotesque, Kafkaesque Ceausescu's, nor are politicians constantly squabbling on the world stage, nor the few Romanian citizens that represent us badly. It is not the confusion between the name of our country, România, and the appellation of some of our constituents, Romi, or the fact that we change ministers so often that it hardly seems worth learning their names or their provenance, nici faptul că suntem veșnic în prealegeri, post-alegeri sau în alegeri și asta ne duce la o inerție, eu cred că problema noastră cea mai mare este internă. We do not celebrate our own resources, our own extraordinary creativity, our exceptional heritage, and our greatest asset, which is you who are in front of me. We must once again build that pride in institutions, in achievements, and find true heroes, and they are often modest. Communism destroyed the fiber of this country, damaged mentalities, and destroyed belief. Perhaps the saddest legacy is the one least talked about. That is what happened to this country during the communist years. How could you help your peers when you trusted no one? When you were afraid your neighbor or your brother or even your children might betray you? Fear was a monstrous instrument of control, and it decimated this country. How could you know about noble behavior when your entire past and achievements were simply obliterated, removed from the history books? How could you help others when you had no means? Dar această societate are vigoare și asta e ce am văzut azi. Din cenușele comunismului care ne-au făcut atâta rău, reiese o nouă generație, o generație care reînnoiește tradiții vechi de secole, a new sensibility, and an era in which people have begun to trust. Sunt multe de spus, dar se spune că calitatea oricei societăți se poate măsura în felul în care își tratează copiii săi, bătrânii și cei care au o boală terminală sau care le limită viața. I do not think that you suddenly get a blazing opportunity to be a hero or to dramatically demonstrate leadership. I think that leadership is about everyday behavior, the sum of the manner in which we handle the quotidian, the reliability and the consistency we demonstrate, the ability to make others do their best work, their individual best, in the context of a team, and the even-handed manner in which we handle the daily ups and downs of any challenge. I do not think that leadership is about eureka moments. Those are few and far between. Risk is an integral part of life, both in business and in our personal situations. Life is full of unpredictables, of black swan moments, and you might as well understand that up front. In my case, my own history is perhaps a perfect illustration of that principle, and also what happened to the societal fiber of this country. I am a poster child for change and for the imperative of learning, unlearning, relearning, and relearning again. As many of you know, I was born into several families that had built Romania's history, had reigned over a period of centuries, built hospitals, universities, churches, and industry. There were very few indications in the early 20th century that the names Sturdza, Șuțu, Bragadiru, and those of many of my other close relatives, such as the Ghicas, Cantacuzinos, Brâncoveanus, and others, would become a ticket directly to jail. And that is what it was. Nor was it predictable that by age 3, I would already be in exile from my own country, wandering from place to place, a refugee before I even understood what all this was about. It was not in the cards to lose every material possession, every identity, my citizenship and nationality, and to effectively belong nowhere and to nobody. Mine is not at all a unique story. A great many people in this country were dispossessed of everything they had built and cared for, and were forced to begin entirely new lives, far from their native and familiar context. I never thought I could come back to my country, let alone play a role in its post-communist progress. I have come to look at my personal saga as one of great good fortune. I believed it obliged us to start fresh, to learn true self-reliance, and to understand that the only capital value which no one can ever steal from you, that is entirely your own, is what is in your heart and your mind. That can never be taken from any of us, and that is the most compelling argument I can make about the importance of education. I would also speak to you about trust, a simple word that is essential to any realization. It is the basic foundation of any covenant, exchange, or social mechanism. We must have trust. It can be given on belief, but to maintain trust, We must then deliver. We must meet the expectation. We must be honest brokers, or else we lose belief and systems break down. Trust requires a leap of faith, a willingness to forget past bad experience in order to invest in a better future. Romania suffered a fearful loss of trust in institutions and individuals. We must trust, and true leadership is about trust. Trust in ourselves and our competence. Trust in our friends and in our team members. Trust in various opinions that may differ from our own. I am always looking for what I would call the loyal opposition. Team members who present a different, sometimes a radically different idea. I welcome these fresh opinions. Good ideas come from many places. We have heard so many tonight. I also trust in our ability to make mistakes and to learn from them. I trust we will not make it twice or even 3 times, but I think mistakes are inevitable. It was Beckett who said, "Fail again, fail better." I look around this theater, and what I see before me is the potential leadership of this country. We trust men and women of principle, those who match action to their words, those who aspire to ideals and who translate them into reality. It is all of you who are here today who will lead us into the future and who will establish Romania's place in the European and global contexts. Looking at you and having absorbed all your viewpoints, I am hugely optimistic that Romania's young people will shape a remarkable future for our country. But when you lead this country, I hope you will remember a small sector that is easily forgotten, which is the most vulnerable children of Romania, the final victims of Ceausescu's grotesque social engineering policies, the children that were left behind. This morning you heard from Ștefan Darabuș. It has been my privilege to be a patron of Hope and Homes for Children and many other children's protection organizations. But these children are our collective responsibility. In 1989, Romania, together with the rest of the world, saw those first tragic images of children incarcerated in institutions. We did not know. We could not have known what lay under the radar. The 110,000, maybe even more, children that languished in unspeakable conditions. Our first reaction, appropriately, was one of shame. But 25 years later, miracles have been achieved. There are fewer than 8,000 children still to be placed. Every government, whatever its political color, has accomplished miracles. It is painful to see some of those images reappearing, but you should know that much has changed. And the other thing you should know is that for reasons of poverty in a fragile global economy, the rate of abandonment is once again growing. And while we care for the children we are already responsible for, we must concentrate on prevention of abandonment. We must concentrate on education. You have all had exceptional educations, but we need to make sure that it is equal throughout our country. The rate of functional illiteracy is growing. Access to scholarship is diminishing, not in Cluj, and many children and young adults are simply excluded by the school system. The manner in which we treat and educate our children will shape the Romania we have in 10 or 20 years. This very close friend of mine, who was going through such a bad period in his life, and he asked me an interesting question. And he said, "What keeps you so motivated?" And I thought about that, and here is what I believe. I believe entirely in the capacity of the individual to rise above his or her circumstances. I believe in an active and compassionate civil society. I am hugely optimistic about the capacity of young Romanians to rise above the shackles of the past and to shape a new future. I look at you and I have confidence. You will shape a new leadership and you will demand the right to exercise the power vested in you as the electorate and to demonstrate the talent and creativity that have always been characteristic of this country. You will build pride and belief, and let us relearn the confidence of being Romanian. Eu vă mulțumesc.